I've been playing outdoors since I was a kid, standing by the front door at around 2 years old, hollering, "Side," trying to get my mom to let me go play outside. Now, after 30 plus years working in the outdoor business, I'm dropping insider conversations every week with the brand leaders, guides, marketers, CEOs, and others to make the outdoor industry a trillion-dollar juggernaut that drives product innovation, revenue, and public policy for everything outdoors. I'm Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to episode 454 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Jorge Perez and Tierra del Volcan, brought to you this week by TeePublic. Visit ricksayes.com/TeePublic and find something to add to your tea collection today. I know you have one. Jorge is a strong business development professional skilled in sustainable development, tour operation, hospitality, and conservation. At Tierra del Volcan, you will appreciate the Andes at their maximum intensity. Discover the charisma of its people, the diversity of its natural settings, and the adrenaline rush of experiencing a fascinating adventure with experts who have been around the area for 5 generations. Hey, Jorge, welcome to the show.
Hola, Rick. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to chat with you all the way from Quito, you said you're in?
Yeah, Quito, Ecuador, in the middle of the planet in South America.
Beautiful. Haven't been. I've been to Chile, but that's about it on the way to Antarctica.
Yeah, like Quito, Ecuador is such a beautiful place. And I think it's important to put for our listeners to understand. Ecuador is the same size of the state of Colorado, to give you an idea on size. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we're one of the top 5 more diverse countries in the planet. And with a lot of diversity in foods, a lot of diversity in wildlife, a lot of diversity in plants. And we're also the shortest country between the Pacific Ocean and the Amazon basin. So to give you an idea, driving, you could have breakfast at the Pacific Ocean, lunch next to us in the Andes, next to a snow-capped peak, wow, and dinner in the Amazon basin. And of course, that's something I would not recommend to do, but it's just to give you, each one of those places has so many things to do. But it's just to give you an idea of size, on how easy it is to move around and see things and enjoy it. And so that's my home, Ecuador. And I'm based in the Andes, in Quito, which is the capital. And we have these beautiful haciendas that are ranches where we do tourism next to Cotopaxi volcano. Cotopaxi is one of the highest active volcanoes in the planet.
Yeah. Very similar to the Eastern Sierra then, because if you go from the beach west of where I'm at, you could drive and have lunch in Yosemite and then drive over the hills and have dinner on Mammoth Mountain, the top of Mammoth Mountain. So beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful cool there.
Yeah. And did you grow up there in that area?
I grew up here, between Quito and the Cotopaxi area. And so it was like our haciendas are pretty close to Quito. It's like an hour and a half driving from Quito to the haciendas. So we come and go all the time. And that was my childhood as well.
Geez, how much fun was that, huh?
It was amazing. I feel blessed in the sense of having the opportunity to be so connected to nature and grew up with that and give you a different perspective of life. It gives you a different perspective of everything. And it was great because we had the best of both worlds. We have the city, which also has its charm, but also we were a lot of the time in the outdoors and with these beautiful mountains and yeah. So we were able to go hiking or horseback riding or mountain biking.
What a great childhood. Now, do I have this right? Did your grandmother used to own Cotopaxi?
Yes. Yeah. It's like our properties were bought by my great grandmother. This is at the end of the 19th century. She widowed very young, and my great-grandfather, he was a very successful merchant at the coast in Guayaquil, which is the most important city in the coast. And so when he died, she decided to sell everything and come back to the Andes. Yeah. And when she arrived to that place, she got in love with the area. And like the story with the family is that her family told her, "You're crazy. There's no future in that land." And that's because these are lands that are over the 11,000 feet. And so from agricultural perspective, it's not that good for them. But
hard to grow stuff. Yeah.
she got in love with the place, and her reaction was, that will be my future. And that's the name of the hacienda, El Porvenir, which in Spanish means the future, what it has to come.
Okay.
So her expression was, esto va a ser mi porvenir, this will be my future. And that's how she bought it. And of course, at that time when there were no national parks, there were the peaks of the mountains were declared in Ecuador that belonged to the states in the 70s. So before that, everything was part of the ranch. And these were big properties they're still big. Now, most of it is the Cotopaxi National Park. We're right neighbors with them. But yeah, it was like, so she was a wise woman with a lot of vision. And we've been trying to keep that vision of being a company of vision of the future. And that's why we decided to focus on travel with purpose, which was how we began with this, which the idea was to preserve these ecosystems. How we started in tourism was that I thought, like, how I can guarantee that the grandkids of my grandkids will be able to live what I experience. And the other reason was that these areas, this high part of the mountains known as páramos, are the main source of water in the Andes.
Yep, same in the Sierra.
Was very important. So we decided that tourism could have the purpose of creating conservation. So we were focusing on adrenaline fuel conservation. That's a little bit how we started, like how people could get in love to these places and connect them, and at the same time creating opportunities for the local people. So that's like the vision that comes from my great grandmother to our vision on how we started and how we decide to get into tourism with this beautiful land that you don't choose with what you are born with, but you do choose you do choose what to do with it. And our vision was to share it, and our vision was to create a model of purpose for conservation, of purpose for people having great experience with, and purpose of people growing.
So was she instrumental in the creation of the national park? Did she sell it to them because she knew it was going to be a national park, or she just sell it because she wanted to?
No, when she died, the Galapagos National Park was created in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, the property was on the hands of my grandfather. And when they decided to create the national park, he did a big donation of land to the national park. One of the things that has been a conflict in Ecuador related to national parks is that the states declare these national parks, but a lot of it were private land owning areas, and a lot of them still have that conflict of areas that are private land, but at the same time a national park.
Oh, interesting.
So to tell you the truth, they end paying for the land to my family in 2010. So before that, we have this model in which we've been working very close, hand on hand with the Cotopaxi National Park on conservation projects and in improving the quality of the people, the lives, and opportunities.
Right.
But also by promoting building trails with the park. And so we had a really good relationship with the national park, and we still have that amazing relationship, and we still work hand on hand. But in a certain point, the government said, okay, like now we have the budget to pay this land, and that happened in 2010. But we still we have two haciendas next to the Cotopaxi National Park: Hacienda El Porvenir, which is our main lodge, and Hacienda El Tambo, which was an ancient Inca tambo. Tambos were Inca inns. Like normally when they have their roads, they have the tambos which civilians, and they have the pucaras were military places.
So gotcha.
They have one place on a day journey to the next one. So, and you could visit some of the ruins when you visit that area. Cool. But one of the houses is an ancient Inca tambo, which is beautiful because it was an Inca inn 500 years ago. And
wow.
500 years after, it still have it's true to its soul. It's
That's
still
cool.
receiving people. So these two haciendas are on the buffer zones of the Cotopaxi National Park. They're still big properties, and we connect that model of adventure within these ranches plus the Cotopaxi National Park, creating a beautiful setting for the best adventure in the Andes that you could experience.
Sounds magnificent. Yeah, I got to get over there. Man, that's amazing.
Casas to casa, Rick, whenever you want.
I will be there at some point. So, somewhere I heard or read that you had to fight to stop a power line from coming through. It sounds like the government was working closely with you all along. What brought that on? Why was it a fight? Power lines.
Well,
I mean, if it's anything like the U.S., all the power companies want more land, more this, more that, and they'll do anything to get it.
so one of the things is like the country was creating this new hydroelectric in the Amazon basin, and they need to do all the power line system to connect it from the Amazon to the coast.
Gotcha.
And we try, and they have created this route that was touching the Cotopaxi National Park. And we proposed that there were other options on routes that they could use that will not affect such a pristine area, such a beautiful area. So we tried to stop it, but we couldn't stop it at the end of the day.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
It was a shame. It was a difficult moment of the country with the politicians.
I can imagine. Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face today?
Depending on the level that you want it. So in general, I think Ecuador has been going through a difficult moment after the pandemic because of during the pandemic, a lot of in Latin America and in Ecuador, there was not governmental support. They didn't have the money to support the companies and everything.
Oh, right.
And that makes a lot of the companies close or people lose their jobs. And so recover from that has been a challenge. And one of the things that has happened with that is that some illegal groups decide that provide illegal jobs that has created
interesting. Yeah.
a conflict in the country in general. And so I guess it was like creating opportunities is a big challenge in these countries. I think that people don't really know and understand what's Ecuador. Maybe they have heard a lot about of Galapagos, but not Ecuadorian, but not about mainland Ecuador. And that's also has been a challenge for people to understand what Ecuador is and how unique as a place and magic as a place is. So being able, and I appreciate being here because it's an opportunity to share and try to show how an amazing place Ecuador is and what we do. So those are being challenges. This increase in illegal businesses in Ecuador that has created violence in certain areas, especially in the coast, far from us. It's been a challenge to find the right channels to let people know what we do, even though we have been very well recognized in the international press, like we were Best of Travel by Outside Magazine, or we've been Exceptional Experiences by Afar, or we were one of the 52 places that you should see in the planet by the New York Times. So
that's good and bad news, though, because that brings all the people.
Yeah, correct. But but at the same time, people need to understand the whole destination.
Yeah, and you need people to help solve the problems. So
correct.
Write
That's
checks, right, and come and do the work and all those things. Yeah.
So that a broader perspective. I think from the tourism perspective, tourism has changed a lot, and that's also has been maybe a beautiful challenge. I like the idea of the Chinese, the pictogram of the Chinese for crisis is a dangerous opportunity, and I like that concept behind it. And something that has changed a lot is when you and I, Rick, we used to travel, we were really able to disconnect from home.
Yeah.
Calling home was super expensive. internet
Couldn't
did
do
not
it some places.
or were pretty basic.
Yeah.
So getting news from home was difficult, even only if something terrible happened. And so you were really able to disconnect from home and immerse into the new place, into the new culture, and have a transformational experience of deeply connecting to the new place and forget about home. But now it's like somehow we never stop working because our phones has our emails there, and we're always trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And we have social media, which we're always hearing from our friends. We're always hearing from home, which in one side could be nice, but on the other side, we're always connected to home.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges that we see now is how help people to disconnect, to reconnect, allow people to, hey, try to leave those things back home, connect to the new place, stop working for a while, and give the space for you and for your family. And that's the other side of our vision of travel with purpose. What we try to offer is experiences that will allow you to go beyond just seeing a place. It's like beyond travel experiences. So I always say that when you travel, you could always leave everything behind, but yourself. But because you cannot leave yourself behind,
right,
why don't you use that time to understand yourself better, to see where you are, who you are, and to talk to yourself. And if you analyze now, we're afraid of being with ourselves.
A lot of people are.
As soon as we're by ourselves, we go immediately to our phones and social media,
internet. Exactly.
Never give those spaces to think to. So those are some of the challenges also that we're facing, which is a beautiful one, and that is creating new experiences that will give you those opportunities. So from that perspective, we invite you on our packing list, for example. It says what to bring: your inner child.
Love it.
We will invite you to play. We will invite you to do things different, to not just go on a bucket list. Okay, checked. Got the checked. Is more on, okay, let's put a purpose to your journey. Let's put an intention to it. And it could be as a family to reconnect, or it could be as myself to understand where I'm at, where I am and where I want to be in the future, or what I could do to fix those problems. And I think the third challenge that we all humans face is our relationship with the planet, is our relationship with planet Earth. And
I think so much of the world has lost that relationship these days. They just
but I do believe in humanity. That we're doing certain right turns.
We're figuring it out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But of course, part of it is understanding what's nature, who we are within it. And we have a beautiful program that is called 25 Seconds, which go through the evolution. And the reason of the name is because if you take planet Earth existence and compare it to 24 hours, humans has been on the surface of the planet for 25 seconds.
Wow, interesting.
And when you realize that, it's like when we say we're saving the planet, the planet has been without us for 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 25 seconds.
It's fine, right?
We're not saving the planet. We will saving ourselves. We will saving who we are. So this journey is to understand from where we come from, and so it's divided in three acts. The first act is I compare to a play. The first act is the beginning, to understand from where we come from. Most of our time we were cavemans, hunter-gatherers. Like our evolution, we've been changing the planet in 200 years more than we have done in the whole our history.
Yeah.
Then understand the evolution, and so the first part we go to the Amazon basin, for example, to share with the local indigenous that are hunter-gatherers, to understand how they live and why we were like when we were in that moment. Then we go to the Galapagos to understand the evolution, and then we come to the Andes to envision the future, like where we want to be as a species. And that kind of journey is what we're trying to focus on. That looking for better ways to connect with the Pachamama and to connect with the Mother Earth and understand what we could do, where we are and where we want to be.
And I think so many people these days, like you're right, they're just disconnected from all that. And I think in addition to reconnecting to that, the land and nature and all those things, is it also helps us. I mean, I think we get back to realizing that I don't need all these electronics. I don't need to be doing these things 24/7, 365. I can take a day off, an hour off, a week off, 25 seconds off, whatever it is, because that's what we really need. That's what we're made of, is we need to go back to our initial roots as well. Chill out.
For example, Hacienda El Tambo, we offered like the luxury of the simple, of going back to basics. Offered as a technology detox place. It was like, and it's beautiful how liberating it is when you get to a place where it's like now with satellite internet, you could connect everywhere. So it's part of the education not to do it. It's like, and there's a place that is intentionally without Wi-Fi so that you could be a couple days there. When it's beautiful how you liberate. It's beautiful how families start to interact different, and it's beautiful to give you just that space and understand that it's great to be connected, but it's also great to be disconnected sometimes from the world, from the grid, and from the internet, and that we have to learn, because all of this is quite new to us as humans, as a societies, and we're still learning. That's part of what we try to. When we say what this envision of the future is, okay, we do want this technology, and I like the technology, but also it's good to go back to the basics. It's good to go back.
I like the downtime. Exactly. Get away from that stuff. The quietness. Yeah.
Correct. And try to find a balance in the best of both.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you guys have two haciendas. How many are they? Obviously, they're both the same size. Are they different size? How many people can stay there?
They're different size.
They're different size?
El Porvenir, it's around 3,000 acres.
Wow.
And El Tambo is around 15,000 acres.
Wow.
So these are big properties that, again, from agricultural perspective, maybe 100 acres down in one of the valleys will produce more than this.
Right.
18,000 acres combined, but as a place for doing tourism, it's such a magical and unique place, because between these two properties and the Cotopaxi National Park is such a beautiful setting to explore and go horseback riding, or to go mountain biking or hiking for several days, and because these are private conservation land. We manage pretty well the amount of people on those places. So because part of the experience that we want is to give you that sense of solitude that the mountains normally share, or that sense of a place to disconnect, as I mentioned before. So it makes it a beautiful setting for this. I will describe it, maybe could be described as an Andean dude ranch.
Okay.
Because we also do cattle drives.
Cool.
The whole culture of the area, which we also were pretty hard to preserve it. My father used to say that when you promote environmental conservation, you also have to promote cultural preservation. So part of our goal is to preserve this beautiful cowboy culture, the Andes. This culture started at the colony time. This area was given to the Jesuits by the king. And at the beginning, they brought sheep and llamas but because their land were so big, we're talking like a million of acres under the Jesuits.
Yeah.
So people start to steal those animals. So they decide to bring fighting bulls as guardians over their lands. And because you could go and grab a sheep, but if you try to do that with a fighting bull, the animal will kill you. At that time, to their most trustable employees, they teach them how to handle the bulls and for that to ride horses. So the Chagra culture is the first indigenous group that were allowed to ride horses in the Spanish colonies.
Oh.
And because of that, they became a Mestizo culture, because a lot of this status came from the Spaniards. If you think, we're talking about the Middle Ages, so basically horses were for the nobility or for the knights.
Right.
So being able to have horses became a huge status thing, and being a
Big thing,
chakra, the name of our Andean cowboys, became a huge status thing. And from that point on, they handled these herds of fighting bulls, which is a bit more exciting than when you do a regular cattle drive, because the fighting bulls, when they're on a group, they will behave as tame animals. But as soon one of the animals get off the herd, they become very territorial and they might charge. So when you herd them, is in certain point is like playing chicken, because you start screaming to the animal like, and the animal might turn and go together with the herd, or the animal might charge. So it's such a beautiful. So we do this in tourism as well.
Oh, that got to be cool to see.
If you're a good rider, I can guarantee you that these cattle drives will be one of the top 3 best experiences in your life on a horse. Such a unique ride.
That'd be cool.
And it's such an authentic thing, because it's something that doesn't happen, that happens twice a year, and that is really going to the really hacienda work, and it's a mix of party and work. So at night you have a barbecue and people sing songs, and so it's quite an authentic thing, but at the same time you're sharing with the locals, and that's part of what we want to preserve in the area.
That sounds awesome.
Unique experiences, authentic experiences.
That's very cool. Yeah.
I'm always on the lookout for new t-shirts with funny sayings, inspiring graphics, or just something with a simple message. And I often find it at TeePublic. TeePublic has all kinds of apparel, tees, hoodies, masks, and more.
Visit ricksays.com/teepublic and find something to add to your tea collection today. I know you have one. That's ricksays.com/teepublic.
And now back to the show.
So when guests stay there, they don't cook? Does the caballeros cook for them, or how does that work?
Yeah. It's like we are an all-inclusive service where we have.
I think sometimes it'd be fun to be able to cook your own steak that you
want. For example, when we go camping and you want to participate, it is up to you.
Cool. Yeah.
And but we offer beautiful
full service. Yeah.
Well catered service. We have amazing, beautiful rooms, but overall for us, the luxury is the experience. Unique experience within nature, within connecting to yourself, within understanding Andean cosmovision, the different ways of understanding how the universe works. And a typical example that I give with this is Andean, and I'm Western at the same time. So let's talk about time. So if for Westerners, time is past, present, future on a linear way, where future is in front of us and past is behind us. In Andean cosmovision, past is in front of you and future is behind you. Why, Rick?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Past is in front of you. Because I think we always refer to the past whenever we're talking about what we're going to do, what we always gets followed up by, well, I did this. So you always refer to the past, maybe. Am I close? Am I warm?
No, it's super simple. What you can see, your past or your future?
Oh, your past.
So what you can see is in front of you, because what's in front of you is what you could see.
Well, that makes sense.
So that means that your past is in front of you and you could not see your future, which is in this case is behind it. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying.
No, I like it. Yeah.
It's a different ways to see how the universe work.
Right.
That's beautiful, because when you incorporate that kind of different ways of understanding the world to your life, things change. And so we always invite you to those kind of visions. And for example, because we were on time, another beautiful vision is that, again, for us Westerners, time is linear, past, present, future. In Andean cosmovision, time is on a spiral. And when again, Rick, what changed in your life when time is not linear and is on a spiral? What do you think?
What changes? Well, I don't know. That's a tough one, because I don't know.
So When it's in a spiral, you understand that you go back to the same type of energy of the same type of moment in different moments. So what is beautiful is that you understand that when you're in a bad moment, it won't last forever. If you give it some time,
Right.
we'll get out of that. And when you're in a good one, enjoy it because it won't last forever. And the beautiful thing is there's things that are timeless, like love. So not everything is related to time. But when you see the universe, everything moves, creating a spiral. So if you think on the Milky Way, it moves through space, spirals.
Planets circle around.
Solar system and the planets are creating spirals through the universe. So it might make sense that time also
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
In that direction. But it's beautiful to understand, okay. And that's why we're so focused on the past, because you know that when you see your past and you learn from it, the next time that you're on the same point on a different level, but on the same point on a different level, you've been there. You have, your past has a lot to show you on how to handle the times of problem, that kind of moment. So
you'll make the same mistake twice, and you can avoid the mistake the next time.
Correct, because you've done it. Been there before, as a society, as a species, as a human being in your own life. Mm-hmm. So that's just to give you some of the ideas.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Like to play. And we have a lot of these kind of ideas and sharing other ways to see from cultures of the Amazon that has the way of seeing and understanding the world, from cultures from the Andes that has a different thing. So we incorporate those kind of things that when you give it a deeper thought, it's great to incorporate it to your life and to use it in the future and use it to grow you as a human being.
Well, I can see a lot of late nights around the campfire with some deep conversations, some mezcal passed around or something.
Encourage a lot. And that's the beautiful to leave your phone for a while.
Right, exactly.
One of the things that for me was amazing how it changed is we've been in business for 25 years. And our first years, we didn't have Wi-Fi on our lodges.
Nobody was bringing phones back then.
So one, we intentionally do not have it. On the other, we understand that now it's important to have it. So, but it was fun to see how people before that will sit on the living room, which has a beautiful fireplace, and start talking to each other. Because one of the things with this is that our lodges were our home, and we have to try to keep that the house keep that spirit of being a home. And so we offer you more the idea of being with friends in the Andes more than being on our own. So and people used to sit there and talk to each other and tell, well, what you've done in Ecuador, or where you're coming from, where you're going after this. Now you see the same group of people sitting there, but each one in their devices.
Right. Yeah. They don't respond to someone unless they ask them. Someone asks them a question, they look up and then right back at their phone.
And again, that's why we try to create activities and force moments to recover that beautiful part of travel, which was connecting to other people,
right,
and learning from the other, and because that once that kind of thing happened, one of the things is that you're less afraid of the other. Sometimes is in going to human evolution is natural to be afraid of the unknown. Mm-hmm. And that could be places, or that could be people, or that could be cultures. But the beautiful is when you know it, when you give the spaces to know it, then you understand that we're one, but we're not the same.
We're similar, but we're not the same.
We're similar. Yeah. We're one species, you know what?
Right. We're more similar than we are different. We're more alike.
But we're very different in other things. That's the beautiful part of the human being, and that's part of the beautiful part of traveling. Yeah. Go and see those other people. Go and understand what they eat, why, how the nature. Because one of the things that is easy. One interesting about Ecuador diversity is that, because of this mega diversity, a lot of the explorers of the planet, like Humboldt or Darwin, came and they developed their most important theories here in Ecuador, and that's because you could see nature at its best.
Right.
And one of the things that Humboldt discovered is the climate floors, and because in Ecuador you could go from 0 to 20,000 feet.
Oh, I see the zones, right? Yeah.
To see the different zones, but you could see it like that. You could climb that in 2 hours,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
on a vehicle. So you could really see that diversity. But one of the things that happens is that you also are able to understand how people adapt to those different weathers.
Right.
And that's why, for example, people in this part of the planet are a lot more chill that or relax in certain things. In countries, for seasons, if you don't plant today, you will starve tomorrow.
Right.
In our kind of in our environment, if you don't plant today, you may do it tomorrow, and if you don't do it tomorrow, you may do it the day after tomorrow, or you could do it a month after, and you still could have the crop, and you still so that creates a lot of our way of being as cultures, and is beautiful to see and understand it.
And different things affect the urgency of what you're going to do now or later, right? I mean, certain things you've got to do now because there's weather coming in or whatever it might be, and there's certain things you can wait. And you just react to what's in front of you. It's much more relaxed that way, I would imagine.
And imagine that us, for example, we basically have 2 seasons, the rainy season and the dry season. So Quito will have a spring-like weather all year long, but temperature is more related to altitude. So basically, you realize that if you want to go into warm weather, you just have to go lower.
Yeah.
If you want to go into cold weather, you just have to go higher.
Yeah.
So that creates a lot of, even what you said, that
it simplifies everything, that's for sure.
Correct. It makes it that it could be more relaxed, certain things, because I'm cold. Let's go down and
right.
And
well, that's what I do here in Bishop. I live in the valley, Owens Valley, and it's been hot. It was 105 yesterday, I think.
Wow.
And but the beauty is I've got 10,000-foot mountain range right next to me. So in the afternoon, I can grab a beer and go up there and just chill out and walk around a lake or whatever and get to that cool area. And then when it starts to chill up there, I can come back down to the heat.
Yeah, but here that happens all year long. So California, and that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to visit Tierra del Volcán?
So what advice I will give it is to talk to us so that we could help you establish exactly the perfect journey for what you have in mind. Beyond our lodges, we also combine our services with going to the Amazon basins or going to the Galapagos or one of the programs that we offer is a 15-day program in which is 5 days in the Andes, 5 days in the Amazon, 5 days in the Galapagos. So if you think in 2 weeks you were able to see one of the 3 most important natural destinations in South America.
That'd be amazing.
So that's a good option. One of the challenges when you come to Ecuador is to learn how to pack, because in a trip like the one that I just told you, like the rainforest will be hot and humid, in the Andes will be cold, and the Galapagos is a beach vacation. So we will give you tips of the packing smart.
That's quite a range of clothing you need.
Correct.
and footwear.
And all, if you're looking to go a little bit beyond just seeing a place, that's the main reason to contact us. Like when you're looking, so for example, we have this beautiful program that is called Family Connections Through Adventure, which the idea is that if you have kids that are soon will go to college, or you just want to have a more deeply connections, and I'm a parent of 2 teenagers, and I understand how difficult it could be to get into certain agreements with them.
Right.
But when you go outside of your typical area and are willing to embark in activities that will take you a little bit out of your comfort zone and having the right conversations, and there's a third party also helping you guiding these conversations, it's amazing where you want to get. And for example, in these programs, we do a couple of activities that are super beautiful and fun. One is, we call it horse encounters, which we invite you get into a corral to play with a herd of horses.
Wow.
And your family will become part of the herd of horses. And the horses will reflect, they will mirror what's going on your life. It sounds like magic, but it's amazing, how beautiful this works and how visual this is for you when you see it happening with the horses. So that give you tools to connect deeper, to see yourself, to understand your family.
Cool.
In certain moment, for example, we ask your kids to write you a letter as a parent, but it's a guided letter that the kids have to touch certain themes. And it's so good. It's so common to hear parents saying, oh my God, I didn't know my kid was going through that.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it's just creating beautiful moments for deeper connections and set intentions. Like what's
Very
the intention of this trip? What's the purpose of this trip? I know that you want to relax. I know that you want to see new places. I know you, but let's put an additional purpose as something that I want to learn, or something that I want to grow on, something to understand, or something that I would like to share with my family. And so creating those spaces and
that's
while
really,
at the same time,
really powerful too, I think.
It's super powerful, but it's beautiful because you're still going to these amazing places. You're still going horseback riding.
Yeah.
You're still hiking. You're still going snorkeling with sea lions in the Galapagos. And so it's just having I think it's the evolution for me of tourism.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Yeah.
And so if you're looking for that kind of very unique moments and giving that extra spice to your travel, that's Tierra del Volcán.
Yeah, sounds beautiful. Yeah. What do you read a lot? Do you have a favorite book?
I read a lot. And I always move between history, self-development. I like a lot science fictions. I read a lot of science. But yeah, there's a couple of books that I have in mind that I think everyone should, at least one I think everyone should read. And the one is called Factfulness.
I haven't heard of that one.
Have you heard it?
No, I haven't heard that. So
it's especially for us that we're a lot of what we're facing about the planet is the author is Hans Rosling, and it shows you first how important it is to when you take numbers or things into context. But it also shows you that we're like the Quixote fighting windmills instead of the real problems.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And by giving you facts of where we are, so somehow what he shows you is that our narrative is still what was happening 30 years before. That thing has changed a lot. And sometimes we don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he takes all these numbers from the UN and from the World Bank and everything and shows you where we really are as human species. And it creates that. It gives you hope. And if you want, I could give you some of the questions that
gives you a whole new perspective, probably changes your perspective quite a bit.
And that is important to understand that we're a lot better than where
it's
we are.
It's not as worse as you think, right?
And I think that is important to understand because I'm a parent of 3 kids, and a couple of years ago, my older kid came and had this feeling that there's no hope. There's no, we're destroying the planet. And you saw that with Greta, the world is on fire. I'm concerned about it for sure, that a lot of what we do, we started tourism as a way to promote conservation. And I think that conservation needs to become a business where most people do not destroy because they hate nature. They basically are looking for a way of living.
Yeah.
So when for example, people criticize Brazil for cutting the forest, and I live in the Amazon basin for 2 years, so I love the Amazon basin.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say go to those people that are cutting that forest to create grass fields for cattle and say, we will pay you for conservation exactly the same that you will do with cattling or whatever cost of opportunity is there.
Mm-hmm.
And people will preserve it. People will say, I'm in.
Yeah.
So we need to change that. We need to do that. And to tell you the truth, I'm a lot more concerned of loss of biodiversity overall.
Yeah.
When I was living on the Amazon basin, my final speech was that people now could understand between the difference between trees and forest, because forests are a more complex ecosystem with a lot of animals, insects that creates this perfect balance. And in 1 hectare of the Amazon basin, you will find more trees than in all North America together. So understanding that diversity. So for me, it's important at the same time to create hope that was like, this is all new to us. Like we've changed a lot in the last 200 years. So
keep learning every day, right?
We're learning every day, but there's hope. There's things that you could do to improve your life. There's things that you could do to improve your relationship with planet Earth. There's way to understand what's our role within nature. And so that's part of the idea of this. And going back to the book, I think this book allowed you to understand where we are and that there's hope, and with that there's things that we could do, and that we're taking some steps on the right direction. And for me, something that I always say is, as I told you before, is I'm a mountain biker. And one of the things that my biggest learning in mountain biking is that you have to learn to see where you want to go, not what you want to avoid.
That's right.
So
that's right.
When you focus on the trees, like that's the tree, and
that's right.
But as soon as you take your eyes off the tree to the trail, everything goes in that direction.
Yeah.
And part of what we try to do is to help. And I think that's something that people should do. And I think that life is like that.
Yeah.
You have to put your eyes where you want to go, not what you want to avoid.
Yeah.
And in conservation, we're focusing too much on the tree. It's good to see it. We've seen it, but it's time to move our eyes towards the trail, to where we want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the important thing and this book of Factfulness will give you a better perspective of what to have in mind and how to have it in mind.
I'll pick up that, and we'll link to it in the show notes for sure too. Yeah, that sounds like a good one. We used to teach that same concept in river guide school, right? As a rafter, you don't want to. If you look at the rock, you're going to hit the rock. You don't want to go to the rock, right? So where's the current taking you? And yeah, that's a great concept.
But so as a planet, we need to start looking where we want to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that we're in this race to nowhere, as fast as we can. But as a species, we need to know where we want to go, and in our environmental challenges, where we want to go, and if not, we might end exactly on the opposite, because you mentioned on the opposite shore of where we want to land.
On top of the rock that you didn't want to go to.
On top of the rock,
and the boat is gone. I've seen that happen a lot, yeah. What about a favorite piece of outdoor gear? You're out and about a lot. Do you have something that you take with you all the time?
So when I go outside, I'll always try to have, for example, a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
There's no bad weather, there's bad gear. So
that's right.
so I think like having the right gear for the right situation is key, especially with clothing. Because it's difficult to say something that you will use at the beach and you will use the Amazon basin or when you're climbing a mountain. Yeah. So probably the one that is always with me will be a Swiss Army knife, because it will help you with a lot of things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having the right clothing for me is super important, that they will dry fast and soon, and shoes that will be good for hiking and that will not give you a blister, which could make a beautiful journey
make your life bad. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that I will say
those are good. Yeah.
You're going and dress accordingly to it.
Yeah, that's good. And how can people follow up with you if they want to book a trip or have some questions, want to talk to you?
We have our webpage, which is tierradelvolcan.com, which Tierra del Volcan means the land of the volcanoes. And that's because Humboldt, for example, when he crossed the Ecuadorian Andes, he talked about the avenue of the volcanoes. And for example, Peru, their Andes are tectonic. It's the crash of the Nazca Plate with the South American plate. Mm-hmm. Our Andes are volcanic, so it's that makes it, if you like volcanoes, and Galapagos are volcanic, so there's a beautiful connection there. So we have our webpage. Also, you could find us in Instagram, in LinkedIn, in Facebook as Tierra del Volcán. Also, we have another webpage that might be easier to remember, which is Cotopaxi.travel, that will take you to the webpage of Tierra del Volcán.
Well, we'll put links to that stuff in the show notes. Yeah, awesome. Well, it's been great talking to you. I look forward to seeing you again at one of the events that we go to. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rick. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you and share with you and share with your audience. And I hope that some of the people that has heard us decide to come and visit us. And
we will encourage them, and I will come and visit too. That sounds like a beautiful place. As I told you, Rick,
mi casa es tu casa whenever you want. Come and share it. And one of the things is that we feel that we're blessed on working in this industry.
I agree, 100%.
It's such a beautiful industry, because when you do tourism with purpose, well managed, so you're benefiting the local cultures of the area, you're benefiting the conservation of those places, you're benefiting yourself because you're able to grow. And for me, it's such a blessing to be in the best moment of people's lives. When you're on a vacation is when normally is the best of yourself. Is when you're more chill you are, more relaxed you are. And because we do understand that, we try to create those legendary moments for you to experience.
Sounds like you do a beautiful job.
Gracias, amigo.
Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll get together soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Hey, before we wrap, I've got a special message for you. I know some of you have a podcast rolling around your brain, or already have a podcast you'd like to polish up a bit. I'm excited to announce that I'm partnering with Tracy DeFord's Stephanie Euler and the Produce Your Podcast team to get it out of your head and into your followers' ears. Tracy and her team have helped me grow and monetize my show, and podcasters trust them because they deliver. Go to ricksays.com/PYP to get all the details. Let's get your show created, produced, and on the air today. Go to ricksays.com/PYP and get all the deets, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or spread the word and tell a friend. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Says.